Good morning, cadets. Today I'll be taking up the chapter The Desert. Now let's start the chapter. Most people believe that desert is an endless stretch of land. They think that it is dry, hot, waterless and without shelter. The specialists, however, see the desert as a beautiful place. For them, a desert is the home of variety of animals, people and plants. True that it does not always have a cover of grass. The rain is rare. But when it does, the desert becomes as beautiful as any tropical garden. A desert may sometimes have mountains and hills. It may have an oasis. I had shown you an oasis in the picture. A desert can be hot like the Thar or cold like Ladakh. In general, when a place has little or no water and vegetation, people call it desert. Sand dunes are found in those deserts which are almost totally without water. These dunes keep on shifting across the desert. All creatures need water. The animals and plants of desert are able to survive on less water. A camel can do without water for days together. The reason is that a camel can drink a lot of water at one time. Now camels do not sweat, so they can retain water they drink for a long time. Smaller desert animals get their water from the moisture in the things they eat. So some of them get the water they need from the animals they eat. Those who don't eat meat eat plants and seeds. Thus they get needed water from plant juice. In our cities and villages, the climate is humid. The moisture in the air acts like a blanket. It protects the earth from the hot rays of the sun. So the earth is not very hot during the day. The same cover does not let the heat go out during the night. So the earth is not very cold during the night. Thus, the variation in temperature during the 24 hours is not much. Since There is no such cover in desert. There is much variation between the day and night temperature there. The temperature rises much during the day. In the same way, it falls much during the night. Now let us take up the exercise. Question number 1. Describe a desert. A desert is usually a dry, hot and horrifying place for common man. That is why only nomads and camels in a small number live there. Of course, there is a green patch also near water spring. These places are called oases. The deserts occupy vast areas. In India, hot deserts of Rajasthan can be turned into fertile agricultural land provided we take water over there through canals. Question number 2. Now let us discuss the lifestyle of people in desert, their food, clothes, work, social customs. The nomads are homeless people in deserts. You know they are called banjaras. They keep shifting to places where they get food and fodder. Their life is very hard. They use camels for transportation. They eat mainly meat and dates. They weave their clothes from the wool of camel or sheep. Their lifestyle is very simple. They look to the sky for rainwater. They have developed their own customs. Short type answers. Who finds it difficult to imagine what a desert is like? Some people living in regions covered with forest and surrounded with hills find it difficult to imagine what a desert is like. What happens when it rains in desert? Rains are rare in deserts. Whenever it rains, desert flowers start blooming. The sight becomes rewarding as that of any tropical garden. What is an oasis? How is it useful for desert animals? An oasis is like green island in the middle of the desert where a spring or well gives plants and trees a better chance to grow. Question number 4. How do desert animals and plants differ from most plants and animals? Desert animals and plants have developed the ability to require less water than most of the plants and animals. Long type questions. How do the desert plants fulfill their need for water? Some desert plants adapt themselves to the life they lead. The cactus plants have thick stems. They store water in them. Their roots lie close to the surface of the ground. The roots quickly absorb the moisture from the light rains that occasionally fall in this way. They fulfill their need for water. A few plants that live in desert have developed the ability to require less water than most plants in other regions. What is the popular belief regarding vegetation in desert? The popular belief is that it is an endless stretch of sand where no rain falls and therefore no vegetation grows. What is an oasis? An oasis is like a green island in the middle of the desert where spring or well gives plants and trees a better chance to grow. What is the real definition of a desert? It is a place which has little or no water and vegetation. People usually call it a desert. What are sand dunes? Sand dunes are heaps of sand and deposition that shift and move endlessly across the desert. How do desert plants and animals adapt themselves with scarcity of water. Desert plants and animals learn to require much less water than most animals and plants. What is the unique feature of a ship of a desert? The camel is called the ship of the desert. It has adapted it in desert. It can drink a lot of water at one time and sweat a little. It can do without water for days together. Why do we sweat? We sweat because we must keep our body temperature constant. How do small animals manage in desert? Small animals remain in the hideouts or burrows during the day and come out at night only. Animals get moisture from meat they eat or from seeds and plant juice. How do desert plants adapt themselves? Desert plants store water in their thick stems. Their roots lie close to the surface of the ground and quickly absorb the moisture from the light rains that occasionally fall. How is the absence of moisture helpful in desert? The absence of moisture blanket the desert land, causes the desert to heat up rapidly during the day and to cool off rapidly at night. Some more extra questions. Desert can be a beautiful place, yet water is the necessity of every individual. So let us talk about the conservation of water and its resources. Nature has bestowed us with bounties and gifts. Deserts are one of them. But the hardships faced by the inhabitants are really harsh. Water resources are depleting and no measures can be taken into consideration for optimum use of it. Well and rivers are drying up. Constant source of rainwater needs to be restored and more canals should be dug so as to provide the basic necessity of every living being. Question number 2. Plants and animals that live in desert have adapted themselves, yet facing hardship is the part of their lives. Living in desert is full of hardship, be it cold or hot desert. The struggle for sustenance takes a toll on life in desert. They have to face scarcity and extremities of weather conditions. Less flora and fauna, but the beauties of these places. People have to stay inside during day, restricting their working hours. Describe desert. A desert is generally without water and vegetation, but it is as beautiful as a desert. Forest. A desert may be hot or cold, but plants and animals are there. They have learned to survive in hot and dry and cold conditions. Deserts also have a different kind of vegetation. Now let us, from the first paragraph, we have to pick up two phrases which describe the desert. Then we have to pick out two phrases which describe the desert as specialists see it. First answer, hot, waterless and without shelter. A flat, unchanging wasteland of dry sand. Two phrases which specialists describe is a beautiful place, a home of variety of people, animals and plants. The description of deserts as specialists see is it's more apt as their description is based on actual studies and not just on beliefs and assumptions. The camel can do without water for days together. What is the reason? A camel can do without water for days together because they sweat very little. Camels can stand high body temperature. They don't need to sweat and therefore it can retain water and drink lot of water at a time. Question number 6. How do the smaller desert animals fulfill their need for water? The smaller desert animals spend the day in the underground burrows to escape the heat. Some of them eat other animals and get the water they need from the moisture from the meat. Others eat plants and get water they need from plant juice. Question number 7. In a desert, the temperature rises during day and falls rapidly at night. Why? In humid climates, the moisture in the air acts like a blanket and protects the earth's surface from the rays of the sun. The absence of blanket in desert land causes the desert to heat up too rapidly during day and cool off rapidly at night.